I do think 2022 is going to be a very volatile year. The Fed capped volatility based on the fact that they were pumping so much money. They were always the backstop for this market. So every sort of dip was a buying opportunity. I would caution people from assuming that's going to continue as they're removing money from the system.
Silver, what is your take on what is going to happen for silver?
Yeah, so silver's a little trickier, right? Because you obviously have the metal exposure, which as the money gets printed, gold should be moving up. But the one factor I'm just always a little concerned about is, okay, well, if we see inflation going up, that's positive for silver. But what if the economy starts to slow? What if we get a situation where you have stagflation? And then the question is, how does the industrial side of silver handle that kind of slower economy? So, I mean, that's always a question in my mind. It's one of the reasons why I'm having a harder time project silver's target for 2022 and 2023. But the one thing we can do is just quickly go to the charts here, and there are some levels for us to follow. So number one, you have the same sort of major move on silver here with choppy 1-year consolidation, right? And this is bullish. I mean, this on silver is bullish. So the question I have is, you can see this lower trend line. We keep on attacking it. If that breaks, you could see near-term downside on silver to about $19.45 to 50 cents. But ultimately, again, if you look at that longer-term picture, the industrial side will fix itself. Eventually, the economy will recover. And if there's more dollars in the system, then you should be longer-term bullish on silver. So I do think silver is going to perform. It's just a little harder to know in the near term based on how the economy is doing for me. The gold picture to me is very one-dimensional, where it's just, it's basically the more dollars printed, gold generally goes up, especially if the dollar starts to decline, which it will at some point. Silver has those dual kind of actions to it, the money printing, but then also the industrial side. So I think longer term, it all goes up.
Before we continue, help us clicking that YouTube like button and subscribe now to our channel. This shows the algorithm that you valued this information. And it helps us spread that message. Sharing is caring. And now, let's continue.
The question is, in the very short term, does silver have a little bit more trouble versus gold?
I did want to touch on the precious metal markets today. We're seeing quite a bit of a drop in silver. I mean, silver, to the low 22 level. Your perspective on the current drop we're seeing right now, and it doesn't seem like this means anything long term. Is that right?
Yeah, I would say that's correct. But basically, yeah, I mean, I'm in that camp where it's a big drop. But again, the technicals are telling me that this is the important line right now, which is on silver, I guess that's right around just below $22 per ounce on silver. So even though we're having a big drop on a technical basis, as long as this line holds, that's okay. Now, if this line breaks, then there's a very defined secondary line here just below $20, around $19.50, that would be interesting as a buying opportunity. And that's kind of, believe it or not, that's where I'm actually looking to buy silver. So I have exposure in gold. I have some gold miners. I have some GDX, some GLD. I have physical gold. I do have some physical silver, but I haven't really gone into the swing trading side on silver yet, as I'm more waiting for the level, that 1950 on silver to hit. But yeah, again, the key is, as big as a drop as you're seeing in gold and silver, unless it breaks key levels, you don't have to worry too much about it in the near term. But I do think eventually it's going to break higher, as you see just this inflation bug is not going to go away in the near term. And you can already see the Fed. I mean, we haven't talked about the Fed yet, but the Fed is already starting to panic, right? They're already tapering. They're talking about interest rate hikes. And now, as of the minutes yesterday, we saw them talking about, rolling off their balance sheet. So that's freaking the market out. And again, that's showing that the Fed is concerned quite a bit, and the government, right? So the Fed is talking a tough game. They're talking about how, they're going to get inflation under control. But if history has taught us anything, it's that as soon as, they'll start to get things under control, and as soon as we see a black swan event, something unexpected, the stock market tumbles by 25%, unemployment goes up, they only have one play in their playbook, and that's to make policy lenient again, to print more money so that the economy starts revving its engine again. Also, you just have to look at at the cycle, and I talked about that just before, if you look at kind of the higher inflation cycle from the 70s to 80s, this is the exact same playbook playing out. 20 years, we haven't seen inflation, right? So the only reason the Fed was tightening over the last 20 years was because the economy was strengthening, right? So they were trying to keep the economy from overheating, and that's why they were raising. So that's a negative for gold, right?
I have bad news for you. If you're not rich by now, you're screwed. And if you're in debt, you're even double screwed. How so, you might wonder? Well, the sad truth is that you're working your whole life to make someone else rich. The mega corporations, the banks, the politicians, everyone is getting richer. They get your money. And what is even worse, they get your time, they get your life. You are not even in a rat race. You're in a financial prison. But what could a solution for you look like? Honestly, I don't know, but I know what a solution for me would look like. It's very simple. I use whatever money I have and I multiply it with 1,000. This could make my life much easier and probably yours as well. If you have $1,000 available, and multiply this with 1,000, I believe that this could solve some financial issue for the one or the other. Of course, if you're ugly, you would have to multiply it with much more than 1,000. My name is Marco Stan, and this is what I decided to do. I decided to 1000x my money. This is not a joke. I know what you may be thinking. What is this guy talking about? How should this work? This is not possible. Well, I made a detailed video where I laid out my plan. And some clever folks might even want to look at this plan and copy it and do exactly what I do. This is just a little hint on the side. You have two options. You leave, you forget what you have seen. You do whatever you're doing and you hope that somehow you get some other results. Good luck with that. Or you click the link below the video. You enter your email address because I'm not showing this to everybody. You at least watch my video on how I plan to 1000x my money. The choice is yours. Make the right choice. Join me. See what a different future you could have. See at least how I intend, how I plan to do the 1000x. So click on the link below, enter your email address, and I see you on the other side. Your Marco Stan.